Hello, welcome to Real Frank Movie Reviews. Thanks for checking it out. In this episode, we're going to review the new movie Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, we will be talking about spoilers, so you're one of the 10 people in this world, on this planet, that have not seen this movie yet. Pause, go see it, you can then come back and watch this episode. My special guest reviewer and I, my Marvel expert for the channel, and I are going to break this movie down, compare it to the comic book, and decide and discuss, did they do Chadwick justice in how they included him in this movie with his unfortunate passing. We'll get into all that next.
Real Frank.
All right, let's get right into it. The special guest reviewer for this episode. Welcome back to the show, the one, the only, Real Frank Marvel expert, Nyles. Welcome back, Nyles.
What's going on, Frank? Great to be back, man.
Oh, we're so happy that you were able to join us again. We love you when you're on the show. Thanks again for this.
Never a problem, man. You don't gotta ask me twice, man. Don't threaten me with a good time. If you want to talk some Marvel, hey, I'm right there with you.
I mean, you are the show's official Marvel guy, so we need you.
Yes, man. Always happy to be back, man.
All right, so Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Could you give a synopsis and tell the audience what the movie was about? An overview.
Yeah, man. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It's about the loss of their king, Wakanda's king, T'Challa, passing away. And then it goes into vibranium. It goes into about a college student making a vibranium detector. And as this college student makes this detector, the government takes it over, and then they use it for their own advantage. They start using it to search throughout the world, in other parts of the world besides Wakanda, for vibranium. They find some in the sea, and Talokans, they're not going for it. So, then it starts a little skirmish between Wakanda and Talokan.
Talokan, yes. So we were introduced to a new odd friend enemy. Would you kind of call it like that? The fish people?
I wouldn't even call him an enemy. I think the best word to describe him is antagonist. That would be probably the best word for him.
Antagonist. That's a good word to put. I mean, good description of him, I would say, right? Because he wants to keep that vibranium safe and doesn't want anyone else to use it. And then that girl finds it. So
he wants to keep Talokan safe. That's what he's
right
worried about, his people. And I respected that about his character, man.
Right. We're gonna talk about spoilers, all right? So we don't have to worry about that. Yeah. I gave him the warning, so
spoiler warning. We should have put that out there at the beginning.
Yeah, that's
spoiler
right.
Warning is coming.
Spoiler warning. So, what did you think about the movie? Your overall thought of it?
Overall, I actually really liked the movie, man. Because I was real skeptical about how they were gonna do it, because they just had so many things hit this movie, during production, just so many negatives, and to see how it came out in the end, I was very impressed.
Now, how do you think they did with the handling of Chadwick's death, his untimely death, and how they incorporated that into the movie?
I liked it because, as we know, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, he passed away from, I think it was colon cancer, if I'm not mistaken. But you notice in the movie, they just phrased it as a disease. They didn't try to use Chadwick Boseman's specific death as, a plot point or a push point, to further the storyline. I like how they just chose, they said, just a disease, and then we lost our friend Chadwick.
Yeah, I give them credit. I thought they did a fantastic job the way they handled that, because it's sometimes it can be awkward, right? Because was the Fast 7 one of those when Paul Walker died and they had to figure that out and they went their route? But I feel that they handled it the best way they possibly could have to make it a natural thing. It was very well done in that aspect of it. What do you think about the tributes to him?
I agree.
The tribute to the Marvel, when the movie starts, the Marvel shows like clips of him and then and things like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Beautiful tribute, man. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, man. Wakanda forever.
Now, what did you think about the rest of the movie, of how they brought in like the new Black Panther?
I think they did. I think they did a decent job. I think they could have. I mean, it's just hard because, you know, how they had Black Panther, like, in the comics, the sister Shuri, she did become the Black Panther eventually. She eventually took up the mantle. So I feel like they kind of played it right. They played it how they could, you know what I'm saying? It's not like she could just jump into it at the beginning of the movie because, you know, she's a scientist. She's one of the most brilliant minds in the Marvel world, you know, and she's not a fighter. So, you know, I think with what they had, they did good, you know, storyline wise, and, you know, as far as putting Black Panther back into the mix.
So in the comic, I'm not too familiar from the comic standpoint. At what point, how do you know how the transition was from her taking over Black Panther? Like, what was the scenario for that?
Sort of, kinda. It was because T'Challa had chosen something. Yeah, it was because T'Challa had chose not to kill Namor, I think, in the comics, and the ancestors, you know, in the ancestral plane, I think they told him to do it, and when he refused, they stripped him of his rank because they said he wasn't doing, you know, he wasn't in favor of what was best for Wakanda. So since he wasn't up to, you know, kill him, they passed the mantle down to his sister.
Okay, so in the comic book, would Namor kind of look like he did in the movie?
Somewhat. I mean, Namor in the comics more looked like of European descent, I want to say. And, you know, in this one, they chose kind of a ancient Mayan type of civilization. And I like what they did, you know what I'm saying? I think the main reason why they did it, because in the comics, Namor he's the king of Atlantis. So I think the main reason they did it because DC has already got, you know, Aquaman or whatever. And they didn't want, you know, the general audience to get confused.
So did in the comics, did he have the little wings on his feet too? Like he did, huh?
Yeah. He had the pointed ears. He had the wings on his feet. He was out cold. I think he did a great job. I can't even remember the actor's name. I've never seen. This is the first thing I've ever seen him in, but he did a good job as Namor, man.
Yeah, and his little wings, Aquabird. Little Aquabird.
Yeah, man. He was nice, man.
Were they blue in the comic books too when they came up from the water?
Those were not. They were not. And you know, it's interesting that you said that because you kind of noticed when they came out of the water, their skin turned blue. But when they were, you know, in their city or whatever, they were, you know, regular skin.
Yeah. So I just was curious about from the comic book standpoint. So that wasn't the case too. That was something that they did for the movie.
Yeah. No, I think it was because you remember how they said they get oxygen, like when they first got the plant or whatever, they needed the water to get oxygen from. I think that's because like you know how like when you tie off your finger and it turns purple sometimes? I think that was kind of like a similar thing.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, so as far as the movie goes, what was your favorite part in there? Did you have a favorite part in the movie?
The flooding of Wakanda was probably my favorite part.
Really? Okay. What?
I really liked that.
Do you like the way it was shot, or you just like the whole scene itself, or?
Well, because that exact moment happened in the comics. Namor flooded Wakanda. So, you know, I was curious because I saw the trailers or whatever. So I already kind of knew like this probably was happening. But, you know, actually seeing it on the big screen, seeing what was happening, and then, you know, seeing the queen die, you know, Namor killing the queen, like, you know, that's a, you know, that kind of, I wasn't expecting that. That caught me off guard. So that was cool, man. I thought they put that together real nice.
I wasn't seeing that either, but I was a little happy they did do that because of the unexpectedness of it. So I thought that was a nice little treat. I thought for sure they'd pump that water out of her lungs and we'd carry on, but they let her go, so that was pretty cool.
Hey man, those concerts are expensive, man. Angela Bassett's, I can imagine her be pretty hefty. You know, they might as well, right?
You're right, and then I never forget this. You always have the saying they're getting old, so you know they got to keep rotating it in. You know, push them in, push them out. You know.
You already know, man. So you know, that did catch me off guard, but like you said, I'm happy they decided to do it. They made it a little bit more realistic because you know, you remember at the end when Namor. He stuck Shuri with that spear, and then she ends up, you know, surviving. I'm like, most people are, you know, with that type of blow.
Yeah,
you're gonna go down.
That scene was so weird. I'm glad you brought that up because she gets stabbed with that spear. It's inside her all the way through because it goes to the rock, like she's pinned to the rock, right? Then she takes her claw thing and chops it off so she could stick herself out, and that's it. Like, there's no more blood. There's no hole. So. Did I miss something where it got healed miraculously because of the suit she was wearing, or it's like all of a sudden it was an afterthought? So did I miss something, or?
I mean, you know, the synthetic heart-shaped herb that she created, you know, that gives her superhuman durability.
Okay.
You know, things like that. But like, I mean, even in that case, like that's still gonna hurt you, you know, at the end of the day. But I mean, you know, she's a superhero, you know.
I get it.
I guess that's the excuse. But like, you know, you heard what I said, man. Like that's a pretty devastating blow right there.
That's real devastation. She's got blood like on her nose or something, and pulls it out, and then.
And you know, it's Disney, so you know they're not gonna show the most blood in the world.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that part was kind of understandable, but I mean. You can't let those type of blows happen and then people don't die. You know what I'm saying? If it was me directing the movie, I probably would have just not have put that type of blow in there. Probably would have just made the fight a little bit better. Because actually, in my opinion, I liked the last fight with Namor and Shuri, the Black Panther, but I feel like it could have been done a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next scene, they're on the helicopter or her plane, and they're both standing there over their people that are fighting on the boat, and she's fine. Just like got her hand up here, like wheels, and there's like you could never tell that either one were in a battle.
You didn't just get stabbed through your stomach. Like,
right.
I thought the exact same thing.
So that's a little weird. What did you think of the CGI in here?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, were there any things that like I wasn't too fond of? I didn't really like the suits that they gave to the Dora Milaje.
Yeah.
You know, those blue like amphibious suits. I wasn't really a fan of those, but I mean, you know, overall, like throughout the movie, I thought, they did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel is pretty solid. I always say they're the standard for CGI because they're so good and they use so much of it with their green screen work. But my only complaint was when they were fighting on the boat, the two groups, it looked like a soundstage to me in some scenes. It looked like they were on a soundstage and it was a green screen. I don't know if it was the lighting they used or something. To me, that was my one thing that complained. It kind of looked like a soundstage fight scene. And then some of the movement from Namor, it looked a little, funky at times. But other than that, I thought overall it was pretty good. But the boat scene did look like a soundstage, and that took me out for that little part. And then the whole thing where she gets stabbed and hanging over the helicopter nonchalantly. Hey, we're friends now.
I do agree about the boat scene. Like, I kind of saw the same thing that you were seeing. I didn't think exactly soundstage, but I thought, this doesn't exactly give me boat vibes.
Yeah,
that
right.
Makes sense,
Exactly. It felt like they were on. It's the first time you really felt they were on a stage or a prop or something and green screened out. But overall, I thought, with basically, would you say like 95% of the movie is CGI green screen? It was pretty impressive.
Absolutely, man.
Your least favorite part was it that stab scene, or you have another one?
If I guess so. If I had to, probably. That was just a little frustrating, man. Like just that whole entire last fight scene. Like I'm not saying like it was a bad last fight scene. It just I feel like it could have been done better, man. Like I feel like there's a lot of great, fight coordinators in Hollywood, and I just feel like they could have did it a little bit better, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with all the Marvel standard again. We got. I mean, they've set the precedent. We got to hold them to that standard. You referenced the suits. Were the suits that she makes part of the comic book too, or was this just for the movie?
Their original, the red suits, those are very similar to what they wore in the comics, but I've never seen what they like the new one, the updated one that they put together, like that they were swimming in the water with. So yeah, I never saw that one before.
Okay, because that's one of my big beefs with this movie.
Yeah, no, because I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, have I ever read a comic with like this, a suit that even looks similar to this? Yeah. I was wondering where they got it from, but it seemed a little coincidental that Shuri was making amphibious suits, before they even got into the conflict with Talokan.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, it's just perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Whatever.
But here's one of my biggest complaints in this movie. It's a big one because just hear me out first, all right? Just hear me out.
I'm all ears, man. I'm ready.
It felt so. She's got her AI, right? They call it AI, right? Her go-to.
Yeah. And did you see the guy that voiced him? I didn't even realize until after the movie. I was reading reviews or whatever.
Well, who was it?
It's that light-skinned talk show host. He's I think he's from the UK. He's got the afro and the thick handlebar mustache.
Oh, really? It was him?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Right? I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name either, but I know who you're talking about. That was him. You know what? Yeah. That makes sense.
It makes sense after you figure it out, right?
Yeah. So my whole thing with the AI, right, helping her. Very, very Tony Starkish with the whole Iron Man thing. Jarvis, they call it AI, helping her wherever she's out. AI, Jarvis type of thing. And then they're building suits, Iron Man-esque suits, and then AI works with those suits. Jarvis works with those suits type of thing. And then the student Brainy who figures out and builds that machine to look for the Vibranium metal or element. She has her own suit. And then if you remember, she's going all the way up in the sky to get the drone. But as she's going up, she's losing her oxygen level. So she blacks out. In the first Iron Man's testing his suit out. He goes all the way to the top. It ices up. He starts to fall. He has no control of the suit. The suit dies. She's unconscious. They go down to the bottom. At the last second, both their suits kick on. Felt a little Iron Man-ish to me, like too close, too similar, especially with the AI, Jarvis. And now she's doing all this. She was already a technology person. I understand that. But now it seems like she's building suits for other people. She's the head. So it's like almost Tony Starkish to me. And then even when they're wearing the suits and the masks, it had the same screen when Iron Man had his, what do you call that, UI up on his screen.
The heads-up display?
Yes, exactly. Had it up. It looked just like the same thing to me. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
You are 110% right on the dot. That was everything you just said was homage to Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark.
Exactly.
But she's actually a superhero in the comics. Her name is Ironheart.
Is she really? So okay.
Yeah.
I get it. So, is in the comics was a similar role like Tony had, just in Wakanda?
Kinda. I think I'm not as familiar with her as I am the bigger names, but as far as I know, when she gets puts her suits together, because she's one of those minds in the Marvel world, one of those top minds, a sort of Tony Stark AI. She starts she either finds it or she builds it and she starts working with it, and it kind of helps her. Tony Stark AI becomes basically her Jarvis.
Okay, all right. I don't know. It's man, this is so similar to Tony Stark's and Jarvis and Iron Man, and then
they're just setting up the future, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all they're putting kids in these positions so they can further the brand later on down the line. When we don't care about it anymore, and our kids can suck it up when they're adults.
I get it. It is what it is. I get it. The reason
it's all about money. At the end
you're
of
right.
it,
You're right. It's about money.
Green, and they know it.
It just seemed like in the first Black Panther, she was more of like a tech expert. Like I don't know if you're familiar with James Bond. James Bond already had a gadget person. They called him Q. And she was kind of like the Q for Black Panther. She always come up with these gadgets for him in the suits. And now all of a sudden, she's more of like a Tony Stark-esque type of a person. I know we had events that caused this transition because of Black Panther dying. But the similarity between her building suits and stuff for her people, and then the brilliant student going up, that's what I was thinking. Like, what happened here, Ryan? Ryan, were you watching Iron Man while writing some of this?
Probably, man. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of Tony Stark homage paid to this in this movie for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or something I missed? You pretty much nailed everything. I did like this aspect of the movie. They kind of played with belief. You know what I mean? And how they people's faith in whatever they believe in. In religion, Christ, God. You know, because remember at the beginning how they opened the movie. She was praying to Wakanda's boss, or their God. She's talking about she'll never have doubt in him again. Then later on in the movie, her mom is talking about what did she say when they were at the fireplace? She felt T'Challa's hand, the wind pushing on her, and she thought it was T'Challa, and she said it was just a construct of her mind. But that's in her belief system at the end of the day. So it was I just like that aspect of the movie, how they play with people's beliefs, and that's just a common thing in life. You know what I'm saying? Right. And did you notice in that scene when they were out there with none of their technology on, and the elephants there, she was going to say something to her, like, I got to tell you something about your brother, and then Namor pops up, and she never finished it, and then we find out at the end, she was probably going to tell him that he had a son. The big reveal.
They caught me off guard, what did we just say? They're just setting up for the future, man. Of course, they named the kid T'Challa, just so as soon as he's old enough to, take over, no problem.
No problem. You go right backwards, right? You go back to Black Panther. That part was brilliant. The way they incorporated dealing with that tragedy of Chadwick dying, and then still incorporate throughout the entire movie, but not overkill, right? You're not like overkill, or it's not forced. It seems very organic. And then he had a kid, and then you're thinking, oh my God, they can bring Black Panther back.
I like how they didn't even need CGI, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That wasn't even required for the film. They didn't need any voices, anything.
No hologram, nothing. They just, the story, the writing for it was suffice.
It was cool, man.
It was very good. Was when you saw it, what day did you see it on the weekend or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, it's all right. We got a special guest.
Hold on. My bad.
It's all right.
Interruption. My bad.
Hey, it is what it is. A live show. You got the special guest.
my sincerest apologies.
No worries, man. Don't worry about it. Is there anything else you want to add, or we got everything before we score this thing?
Did we tell you everything I wanted to say? I feel like there was one more aspect about it, but I think we got it for the most part, man.
All right. So, overall, 10 being your best, 1 being your worst, and considering all the Marvel's movies we've done this year, I think this is the last one, isn't it, for this year? Is the last one for the year?
This is the last one for the phase that they're in. You know what I'm saying? They're starting a whole new phase after this movie. So this is the last one.
Oh, really?
In this phase.
So what phase would they consider this one? Is this like phase 4 or something?
This was, I think this one's Phase 4. Either Phase 4 or Phase 5. I'm pretty sure it's Phase 4 though, and they start Phase 5 next year in February with Ant-Man.
See, this is why I love having you on, because you're so up to date on these phases and everything about it. That's why I love it.
Oh, I love it, man. You know it, man. I'm a Marvel head.
So overall, how do you score this?
I think I'm gonna have to give this movie an 8, man.
An 8
out of 10.
Wow, an 8. That's a strong 8. Because what we did this year, we did what? Eternals and the vampire one. What was that one? That was awful.
Morbius. Straight joke.
Doctor Strange, the multiverse with Doctor Strange. And
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was December of last year.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Was there another one in between there? We did multiverse, and then this one. Was that all they had this year? I'm
pretty sure.
Yeah.
At least all that I can remember.
Yeah, that's all I can remember too. So I think that's it, because we got a few DC. I mean, I don't know. Did you see Black Adam?
No, I have not yet. I heard good things though, but I haven't seen it yet.
I thought it was awful, man. And then you watch a Marvel movie and it's just like night and day. Like,
that's why I try to not compare DC and Marvel. You have to just take DC for what it is, because they're just not on Marvel's level.
Yeah, I get it. Totally get it. All right, so you give it a solid 8. Man, that's a high score. For me, overall, I give this one a 5.1.
So rough, man. You're just rough, man.
The 5.1 is because for me it dragged. I understand they had to do a lot of storytelling, but there was a lot of dragging. It was just so slow for me in some parts. I get they had to do a lot of explaining in this movie, to set up the future. I get that, but it was so slow. And then the similarities between Iron Man and Jarvis and things like that. It's like, not knowing the comics, you got to take it from that standpoint, especially the scene where she goes up in her own suit, and I just thought it was too similar there. And in the Jarvis and AI thing, I just like, come on, man. I mean, Jarvis, but yeah, 5.1. How do you feel about that?
That's understandable, because I kind of knew coming in, like I knew about Ironheart coming in, because she's about to get her own Disney Plus show. So, and I saw her in the trailers and everything, so I kind of expected all that to come in. And I was like you, like before the movie even started, I saw it's 2 hours 45 minutes. I said, wow, it's a long movie. But I know it's me personally. I mean, as I was in the movie, I didn't look at my watch at all. I was locked in. You know what I'm saying? So I was. That's why I like the time didn't really bother me.
Yeah. So as the opposite for me, I noticed the time. The time was dragging on for me for some parts, but I understand why they had to do it. But man, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. These movies getting longer and longer sometimes. 3 hours. If it has to be super, I have to be super into it, super wrapped up into it for it to go. Otherwise, I'm about a 2 hour guy. 2 hour 15 tops, unless it's like super fast paced.
I think the only like long movie like that kind of like captivated me, like I mean this did too, but I think like the other one I can think of, like Avatar. Like that was an extra long movie, but I just remember back then in theater I was just amazed.
Yeah. Compared to this one versus the first Black Panther, which one did you think was better?
The first Black Panther, man. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think they, they did a good job. Like the main reason, I think another reason why I gave them such a high score is because of what they had to deal with during production. They had a big break to COVID. They had a lot of COVID, restrictions, regulations. The actress that played Shuri, she got injured on set, so that set them back. Chadwick Boseman died, so they had to restart the script from page 1. It's just a lot to do, and then you end off with what I think is a pretty good movie at the end of the day. So that's just Hats off to Ryan Coogler. You did a good job, man.
No, and like you said, what they were dealt and the way they wrote it, I don't think they could have wrote it any better. Like you said, without having to CGI him, having to hologram him or anything like that. Brilliant. And I preferred it this way than any other way. I felt
and I hope that other directors or movie makers they take a few notes from this. And
yes.
they try to play something like this. People are creative. You know what I'm saying? They can figure out different ways to further the story than having to do that type of thing.
Yes, but Hollywood's a pretty copycat industry, so I'm sure someone will steal this and tweak it a little, and we'll see like 40 movies.
Absolutely.
All right, Niles gives it an 8. I give it a 5.1. That's our review for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Thanks for watching.